There we
There
go.
you
It's
go.
all right. So, first order of business is to do a self-evaluation, take an inventory. Pages 8 through 10 in your little handout, if you would like to take a look at it. There's some more handouts over here. File of them. Anybody else would like some of them? Keith, you want one?
I'm not looking enough for those, I'm gonna let you take care of it.
All right, let's do it. Anybody else need one? You have one, Betsy? Okay. As part of the self-evaluation, we took an inventory of all of our local government offices and facilities: Town Hall, Police Department, Fire Department, Fair Theater, UT Martin Center, University Park, and utility buildings. For anybody who doesn't know, that's University Park over there, if you didn't know. All of our sidewalks, we took an inventory of. Traffic signals and curb ramp tactile surfaces, which is the little yellow things at the end of the curb, at the end of the ADA ramps. I actually drove around on Google Earth to figure all that out. Most of it. That was fun. All right, as part of the inventory, the staff identified which areas had accessibilities and which did not. This part of the process is merely identifying the issues and not solving them. We'll get to that in a little bit, or we'll get to the plan in a minute. Publicly owned facilities included 7 buildings, 2 intersections with traffic signals, and 60 sidewalk segments. And those traffic signals are full traffic signals, like at 64 and 76. Sidewalk segments were broken down into 3 main categories: sidewalks along state routes, sidewalks in developing subdivisions, and sidewalks in towns. So these are the sidewalks in town are the old sidewalks that we have left over from anywhere from 30 to 100 years old. And we did that for a reason, and I'll get to that in a minute. The government buildings, priority 1. We're going to work on our government buildings first. That's the low-hanging fruit. That's the easiest thing, the cheapest thing for us to work on are government buildings. Town Hall has been continually evaluated over the years. We have a USDA loan, which kind of requires us to do that. We have maybe one issue left at the counter, making the front counter ADA compliant. So we're pretty close to the end of that. A few minor changes to buildings like Town Hall, Fair Theater, and we can become completely ADA compliant. The Fair Theater basically is lacking an automatic door up front. There's not a whole lot of other stuff that we have to really worry about. Other facilities like police headquarters and firehouse might take a little bit more work. And as part of building a new firehouse, if that's what we're going to do in the next, hopefully, year and a half, we'll take care of a lot of those issues. And renovating police headquarters for police headquarters and a courtroom, which is what our other plan to do with that. So we will make those buildings ADA compliant as part of that. Does anybody have any questions or input so far? Jim, do you have any questions or input?
Not yet.
Okay, good. Because what we're trying, the whole goal here is to get some input from people other than just pointing out my errors. All right, priority 2 is the sidewalks. So replacing the current sidewalks with ADA compliant sidewalks. I recently found out that if they're compliant to the 1992 standard, then we don't have to replace them. I don't think there are a lot of them out there that are like that. Even on the highway, they were probably built in 91 or 92. So they probably have to be replaced at some point too. Hey. I'll wait for your dad. They're coming?
My mom just.
Okay, we'll wait for her. Oh, here comes a couple more people. You guys are late. Come on.
I'm sorry.
Here's some package for you. Information for the ADA plan. You want to Sarah to the ADA one? And would you sign in, please, you guys? Here, I'll give you the sign-in sheet. Because I would like everybody to, I'd like to have a record of everybody that's here. So we're replacing, the priority number 1 is replacing sidewalks and making them ADA compliant. Okay, so like I said, any sidewalks built since 90, probably 95, were probably built to the standards, relatively current standards, and are okay. I would dare us to find too many of those around town. Most of the sidewalks were built, 30 to 100 years ago, like I said earlier.
Another priority of the sidewalks is sidewalks along state routes.
These sidewalks we can replace and update using state grants, TDOT grants that'll help us pay for it. Some of those grants are 80-20 with a 20% match from the town. Some of them are 95-5 with only a 5% match. And they're all $1 million grants. So, of course, it's a lot more expensive to match a 20% match than it is to match a 5% match. Spending 50 grand on $1 million, we could do that every year, no problem. The other ones are a little bit harder to afford, but part of our plan is, you'll see, is to use grants to update the sidewalks. Sidewalks in the subdivisions will be finished by the developer as they are built out. So I think there's only one subdivision, I think that's Hedgerows, that's got sidewalks in it. The other ones do not have sidewalks in it currently. Actually, maybe Nichols Place has sidewalks in it. I'm not sure. Yeah, they have a sidewalk as part of their development. So anyway, so that's the idea with the sidewalks. Priority number 3, traffic signalization. Town has 2 intersections that feature traffic signals, neither one of which are currently ADA compliant to the current standards. It's at Highway 64 and 76, which is right at the courthouse, and Highway 64 and Lakeview Road, which is right at the end of the street up here. Both of those are dinosaurs. They need to be replaced at some point. The mechanisms are all old. The current mechanisms are digital. The guys can't even hardly figure out how to fix them anymore. They're so old. They're 30 years old or more, or close to 30 years old. The traffic signal at 64 and 76 is already in the grant. We received this grant. This is a multimodal grant. That is the 95-5 variety, so we only have to pay $50,000 for that $1 million grant. I would say more than half of that grant are the traffic signals. They're very expensive, $500,000 to $600,000 for those traffic signals. That's mastheads, similar to Germantown. That's fully digital, turning, a turning lane where they will know you're there, hopefully. Like right now, it's you hope they see you. You hope the wires in the road see you get there. That's where we are, still in the old style. But
pull up.
What's that?
Pull up.
Yeah, pull up. Yeah, right. Or you pulled over in the left lane too far. The registered view, so we have to sit here through the left turn signal stuff. And eventually, maybe adding the 3rd lane to Woodbridge would be part of that too, which would give us a left-hand turn signal at Woodbridge. And that's the reason why we did not install a left-hand turn signal at Woodbridge, because there's only 2 lanes there. That would create a traffic problem. And then the one here at Lakeview Road in 64, we have a transportation alternatives grant, which is the 80-20 variety, which we are going to build a sidewalk all the way from 64 to the center here. That grant is about $650,000 roughly, but the state has additional money because it's much harder to match that grant, so the cities don't go into that grant as often. So the chances are we could upgrade that signal and then maybe build a sidewalk to University Park over there to kind of make things more cohesive. Any comments from the peanut gallery yet? No? Okay. Funding. So how are we going to do all this? So right now we budget about $10,000 annually. That ought to take us till $21.50 before we can replace all the sidewalks. 10 grand a year is a drop in the bucket, but we can put grants together and do all that stuff. So the $10,000 annually is for sidewalk improvements or repairs and specific ADA projects as defined in this transition plan. In addition to the annual budgeted funds, ADA features may be installed as part of projects that involve new construction, reconstruction, alterations, or maintenance to the roadway or pedestrian facilities in the right-of-way. So that's what I was just talking about, how we could fund that with grants. Other projects could fund our sidewalks. If you look down at the bottom, those are the 3 grants we've already received. 2015 Transportation Alternatives Grant, again, that's a 20% match. The 2018, we still haven't received the funds for that 2015 yet, or the go-ahead to start working on it. 2018 Transportation Alternatives Grant, $675 with a 20% local cash match. multimodal access grant is the granddaddy of everything there. It's $1 million grant with that 5% match. Two of those are the 15 and the 18 multimodal are taking care of the rest of the square. They will upgrade all the sidewalks on the square so that they are ADA compliant to current standards. And change the crosswalks, the stop blocks, the turning radiuses for trucks, solve a lot of issues that we have on the square right now. Yes?
Just my rough calculation a second ago, $10,000 equals about 1,000 linear feet of sidewalk.
It's not much.
Is that what y'all?
I don't know. I don't even know the ratio of that, to tell you the truth. So 5 foot wide sidewalks, how many square feet, right?
$2 a square foot.
How much?
$2 a square foot.
Right. So every foot is $10, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be 1,000 linear feet.
Right. Which is a
That's
quarter
not-
of a mile.
That's not too
A
little.
fifth of a mile.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I mean, when you compare it to a grant.
Yeah, it's not too bad. The problem with the grants, again, this multimodal grant out here, transportation alternatives grant out here is also gonna include like drainage and lighting and other things that, new decorative lights going down the road there, make it look a lot better. Any more questions, anybody? But 10 grand is not gonna get us very far every year. It would be hard to do East Street with $10,000 just by itself, just your section of East Street.
So I have a question.
Yeah,
These sidewalks, will they just go on one side of the road
yeah, they'll probably
Okay.
replace the sidewalks that are currently
that are
there.
currently there?
Probably there, like, let's just look at your side of East Street, right? They might be 3.5 feet long, maybe wide, I mean.
Oh, they're 3.
They're 3 feet wide, there you go. So on one side is your fence, on the other side is a 300-year-old tree. over there.
Tree, right.
So, how do we do all that? That's all stuff we have to decide how we're gonna do it. And again, some of that is easement acquisition that might cost money, we don't really know how it all would play out.
Right.
And then you have issues like South Main Street where the sidewalk is that far above grade and then that far below grade in different spots. And trying to make that all work out and regrade it and fix it so that, it's all compliant and it's a lot more money than just $10 a foot,
Right.
basically. You have a whole bunch of other issues. So implementation schedule, this is on page 13 in your plan, if you would like to take a look at it. The town will implement this transition plan based on the number of items identified in the ADA self-evaluation, estimated cost of those features, and as grant funds become available. Following implementation strategy will be used and can be amended every 3 years. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna review where we are financially, where we are in the plan every 3 years. Actually, they suggested every year. I don't know if we'll have enough stuff to figure out every year or not, but every 3 years will put us in a spot where we can adjust the time frame, we can adjust the budget, because as time goes on, prices are only gonna get higher, so it's gonna become more and more expensive to replace all this stuff. Sidewalks throughout the town will be upgraded to ADA compliance over time using annually budgeted funds from the street aid fund. Funds available for this part of the project may vary annually due to other budgetary considerations. So just because we have 10 grand in the budget this year, we might not have 10 grand in the budget next year. Okay, phase 2 is going to be, that's our transportation alternatives grant. That's our 2015 grant that we've been waiting for now for 4 years. That's in the pink area. You can see what we're going to replace. Our local cash match is about $200,000 that we have left to match on that. Replacing the sidewalk there in front of David Newby's stuff, putting a switchback, we'll get to that in a minute. So all the pink areas are the 2015 grant. All the purple areas are the 2018 grant that we got, the multimodal, the 95.5 grant. All right, so we're gonna take the sidewalks in front of all that side, the south side of the square, and we're gonna basically replace all the sidewalks, grading it. I don't know how they're gonna do that. I don't remember what it all looks like anymore. It's been so long since we developed the plan on that, but it'll add a switchback similar to that at the end here to create a place where a wheelchair can go down.
Will there be any kind of rail that goes along with it?
More than likely, yeah.
Because
I just want a space like that wide so I can run across the highway to Butch's.
well, that's
all I care about.
that's where I work every day, and we almost had a lady go right out on Highway 64 So, you guys.
I know more than likely rails are gonna be part of this. I don't remember what it looks like.
Well, there's holes in the concrete where there used to be rails, they're not there anymore. So-
Somebody took them out. Somebody wanted to run across the bushes at the top of the hill there, which I do quite often. Well, not anymore. I
We
don't
almost
run.
lost a customer.
Yeah, I can't run anymore, so you know, that makes it a little tougher, you know, getting away from that 18-wheeler going through there. So, as part of that, we are gonna be replacing the street side half of the sidewalk in front of West Court Square. I don't know if you noticed, but that sidewalk project is just a little over 20 years old, and it already needs, some of it needs to be replaced. The trees were too large when they put them in. They were the wrong species when they put them in. They grew too large. They butted up the sidewalk. You know, so anyway, we're gonna take that piece off. We're gonna make it a little wider. We're gonna change the trees. We're gonna show you the next step here. Then we're gonna change this crosswalk down here on the left side to make a little grass area there to shorten that span that goes across there from there to the square, from there to the courthouse. I mean, both sides I think are scheduled to have a little grass area, and then we're going to add to much of us that live on South Main don't want to do this or back that way. Move that crosswalk, put a crosswalk there, and kind of we're going to move the stop block, which is where you stop for the traffic signal. Move it back so you can't go behind somebody else to make a turn. A bunch of us don't want to do that.
Aww.
That's not the reason you're moving the stop blocks, that's just gonna be the result of it.
Remember
Yeah.
that for everything we're doing is taking ADA compliance into consideration. So, you know, you'll be making a lot of rights at McDonald's and going back behind that way. So that's just the way it is. But that will connect the south side of the square to the courthouse right there. And there'll be a cross right there that people will be able to go across. When you add the traffic signals in there, it'll be pretty neat. Got a question? You okay? Okay.
The traffic signal itself is gonna be moved back.
Traffic signals are gonna be changed, right, so.
They will have to be moved
yeah.
back to.
Right, so
Cause
the
that was
problem
showing
is-
diagonal.
So, right, so the
Okay.
problem is you have an intersection that's like this, right?
Right.
So the problem is that there's a distance where you don't know that traffic light is for you. When you're driving down the road, it's like 200 feet, I don't remember the exact amount, but past 200 feet, the driver doesn't know that that signal's for him. So we have to be close enough where the guy driving east knows that that traffic signal on the other side of the road is for him. So, and I don't know how they're gonna work all that out, that's just some of the design problems that we're gonna have to work with. This is the phase 3, this is actually creating a new sidewalk, ADA compliant sidewalk from 64, which is not an ADA compliant sidewalk. That's one more problem. And connecting it to UT Martin, which is also not an ADA compliant sidewalk. So we're going to have to do some figuring out when we get to the two ends of that in our plan, when we get to the design of that project. We have not even started designing it. We're still in the very preliminary phases of that. But we did receive that grant. That is coming. The grant is approximately $675 with a local match of about $160,000. Any questions on that one? They're gonna be new lights, nice lights, and make it look nice. And some reworking of the drainage over there. And then phase 4, this is the multimodal access grant. This is the good grant here that I don't know. You see, I have Death Triangle written on there. Does everybody know what the Death Triangle is?
Yes.
Oh, okay, you've been there, ever stand there in the Death Triangle? Yeah, it's scary as anything, I can tell you that. It's something that I believe TDOT put in almost 30 years ago when they made the highway wider. The problem is it's still there, and it creates crossing issues. So again, we're going to be moving the crosswalk back to where the red line, maybe a little bit further out, where they've got it drawn in there. See how they've got it drawn in? We're going to change the parking spaces over here in front of the buildings in the East Court Square. And we're going to put a turnaround in there, so there's no way they can come out from the parking spots right onto 64, which you see people do all the time, and you just close your eyes when they do it. You know, so you're going to have to go north out of those parking spots. That's the whole idea. And then all brand new, audible and video, all kinds of, it's gonna be audible also. So you'll hear the countdown, the beep. I don't know if you've ever heard those beeping noises out of traffic signals for blind people. And anyway, it's gonna be a countdown with, you know, the actual numbers, fully ADA compliant traffic signal there. We're gonna eliminate the death triangle. Phase 5 is to continually apply for TDOT grants. Every year, another multimodal grant comes out or a transportation alternatives grant comes out. It's harder to match those transportation alternatives grants. Like I said, it's $200,000 to $250,000 by the time you pay for everything on basically $1 million worth of work. So, excuse me. That's part of the plan. We're already planning to apply for the multimodal access grant. They have a new way. We have to submit a letter of intent by Thursday, which we already have together. This is going to connect the Court Square to Buckley Carpenter down there, basically replacing the entire sidewalk going down South Main Street. We looked at it. One of the things I wanted to eliminate was that 10-foot ditch with those weird little concrete bridges. Everybody know where that is? Have you seen it? Okay. Unfortunately, the expense to do that we wouldn't be able to do much sidewalk. So we're probably going to pull up the old sidewalk, and the plan is kind of to replace the old sidewalk with new sidewalk, leveled out and ADA compliant. So it won't be as nice as what I was hoping for, but we can fix up that ditch with some riprap and do a little work. So something we can just spray rather than